No.
We're now finally halfway through the year, and this is the Independence Day month. So I figured, why not have a matchup themed around America, I guess. But I don't know if this is technically an American-themed matchup, but you'd probably imagine it as one. Now, it's not Soldier vs. Sarge, because that was in the other video. So, what's this one? It's Tagman and Steve versus Chris and Swagmaster. Tagman versus SMG4. Yeah, you've definitely not heard of it. Simple. The connections are just duos of a smarter guy and a sillier, wacky guy who are just who drive tanks. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But you know, they've been in war zones before, so yeah, there's that. And that's how I'd like this match to go around. Like, they're in a war zone, like firing weapons at each other. And like, the banner potential here is again comedy gold. Now, I know this is not the most popular SMG4 matchup. There's obviously SMG4 versus Devil Anonymous Cell. However, I like this more because character bias. And funny enough, I think this could be a Devil Anonymous animated fight. Now, when you think about it, with who wins, it's kind of obvious. It's obviously
Swagmaster wins, because I am 2S and the opponents suck in lol.
God damn it, Swag, would you stop interrupting people's videos?
Suck my cock, Chris.
Yeah, Chris and Swag win due to SMG4 scaling. Don't know how they got in the video, but hey, whatever. In terms of the death, maybe like Chris and Swag's tank end up destroying Tagman and Steve's, and then Swag just shoots them both in the face, I guess. You kind of want to have, like, you know, a pretty funny death for a matchup like this. I didn't have as much to say on this as I thought I did, so, yeah. Let's just move on, I guess.
Light bulb.
Okay, so far, nearly all the fights or matchups have been mainly comedy-themed and, you know, just made to give you a few laughs. So, let's go over something a few more serious and higher in scale. 4 versus Flumpty. Battle for Dream Island versus One Night at Flumpty's. The main connections are characters who look silly and goofy, but their true nature is absolutely terrifying, and you better pray to God that you don't make them mad. That's at least what I believe, anyway. This is definitely, you know, one of the matchups that you think, oh yeah, I can see it, when you first hear about it. And like, I definitely believe that it's the best for both, honestly. I know in my other video I said 4 versus Collector was the best for both, but now my mind has changed because of how much stuff for this specific matchup I've seen. And you know, it gives for a pretty debatable fight. I know it doesn't really sound debatable when in the versus community, Flumpty's portrayed as like some massive god who's just got all kinds of fourth wall awareness and plot manipulation abilities and just do whatever he wants. However, from what I've heard with the outcome, I can't confirm this, 4 does outstat him. However, Flumpty just gets hacks. So like, it just comes to the point of which you think is more useful. This is what I've heard, so take it with a grain of salt. And now there's the obvious problem that Flumpty's creator is not a very good person. But separate the art from the artist. That's what many people say. This is a fun matchup, and you know, best for both. And like, you know, the interaction potential would be really fun because like, You have, you know what they have to do? That one BFDI gag where the character like dodges a bunch of things at once. You know, like where Leafy dodges a bunch of needles and spitballs and knives and all that. They kind of have to do that gag with 4. And then Flumpty's just like, really? Because, like, I mean, that was just kind of dumb of how his attack didn't work that way. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. It's a good matchup, and, you know, this realistically could be a finale. It could be a season finale, but it's not. You know, I mean, hey, Bill versus Disco could have been a season finale, but it was right in the middle. I'm just saying. Let's just move on.
Oh, great Cacker Lord!
Okay, let's just get this one out of the way. Ruby versus Maka. You know, it's a legacy match, and it's likely going to be episode 200, so I thought I'd just put it on here. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know anything about either of them, but, you know, it's confirmed to be happening, and it's likely going to be episode 200, like I just said, so you might as well just put it on here. And hey, I put it in the month that episode 200 would be in too. I've heard Maka wins, so yeah, what else do you really want me to say? You likely know. If you don't, then go watch other videos that would probably have it in, but I don't know. It's a matchup that people have been waiting to see for years, so yeah. I have no idea. I just put it here just to, you know, acknowledge its existence for the fact that it's happening at some point, likely going to be after Hulk vs. Godzilla, which is not out yet. So let's just move on.
Do not finish that freaking phrase.
Now it's time for the Halloween episode. Now, this is definitely a bit of an odd choice, but I mean, hey, you know, there's not really too much you can really work with besides Spooky Month, but I like this idea more. Kane versus Stanley, The Amazing Digital Circus versus Super Mario 64 Classified. The connections are two sentient AIs who are trapped in some kind of game and have a bunch of abilities like that are just like kind of supernatural, I guess. I've been getting in a lot more into Digital Circus recently because like I really liked episode 5 and, you know, the whole Wacky Watch thing, which has honestly kind of been funny to see. Not just because of the votes, because of how Kane has gone absolutely insane. That's been a blast to see. In terms of like the fight potential, you could have like Kane send the Digital Circus gang to a Mario 64 level to, like, you know, collect some stars. To, you know, because like he wants to make everyone have fun, but Simon's like, no, please no. So he's gonna try to stop it. And now I know there are some people who believe that that these kinds of matchups have been used way too often ever since Bowser vs. Eggman, but I'm afraid in terms of the potential of this, it has to be said. And re-mentioning Bowser vs. Eggman kind of gives it away. This can work as an army battle. You're probably wondering why, but let me explain. Kane has access to a bunch of assets and characters, like, say, the Globs, I think they're called, from episode 1, the Gummy Crew creatures, and Orbsman. Meanwhile, Stanley has access to the files of characters like Goombas, Bob-ombs, and even some of the boss fights. You can have, like, Gloinks, that's what they were called, yeah, the Gloinks. You could have the Gloink Queen fight Bowser, and, you could have, Orbsman pick up King Bob-omb and throw him at some of the other enemies. That'd be pretty funny to see. You know, you can have Bubble eat a Bob-omb if you can manage to get him in there somehow. And like from what I've seen mostly throughout this matchup in terms of the potential, you could have the Digital Circus members having to deal with, say, the Wario apparition and the Ouija, since that's what Stanley's associated with most. And like I saw a concept once of where, like, you know, how the fight progression, and it was just Pomni in the Wario apparition's hallway. I mean, that writes itself. Now, given everything that I've just said, this would definitely have to be a bit of a lengthier episode when it comes to the fight, which I'm all here for. Now, in terms of who wins, I honestly have no idea. But like, you know that thing I said earlier? Well, I've heard of, it has potential deaths for both outcomes. Say, if Kane wins, just kind of erases Stanley from existence, I guess. That's what I saw from it. However, if Stanley wins, he just kind of immobilizes Kane and puts him in the obstructed hole where all the obstructed people just rip him apart. That's what I remember. And that's kind of a pretty gruesome thing. You know what? I think that could be something that could work for both ways. Actually, yeah. So, yeah, I like that actually. You'd have it for both deaths, no matter the outcome. So, yeah, this is like, I mean, it's an odd choice for a Halloween episode, but you know, Mario 64 has been creepypastified to hell, and The Amazing Digital Circus is meant to be a kind of a creepy, off-putting series, I guess. Well, not really creepy, just you're not really meant to feel, you know, safe in there, I guess. I could be getting that completely wrong, and if I am, I'm sorry. I'm also sorry for mentioning that this could be an army fight, because I know a lot of you might embrace it, but I know some people who definitely will not. So yeah, let's just move on.
Wait, Thomas, what are you doing?
Let's get cooking, motherfuckers.
From Halloween to Christmas, we have Moki versus Tom. Senor Pelo versus Eddsworld. Now, when you look at this at first, you're probably thinking, are you genuinely mad? However, this relies entirely on contrast rather than, you know, connections. It's someone who loves Christmas and will do anything to fight for it, versus someone who hates Christmas and will actively destroy a city to ruin it. There. You convinced? Good. Okay, so the story potential is surprisingly a lot more there than you think it is. Say Santa Claus goes for Moki for help because someone's destroying Christmas, and Moki goes to investigate, and he sees Tom on Santa, or I guess Xanta's sleigh, and Moki attempts to stop him. You can have like a scene or two where like Tom just goes through a bunch of people's houses and wrecks their stuff, and then Moki follows and fixes all that stuff. Because, like, you know, I mean, this whole thing kind of writes itself. I mean, you know, it's Moki versus Tom, the guy who loves Christmas versus the guy who hates Christmas. I mean, what else can I really say? I mean, I can't say the outcome, which, I mean, it's not even close. Moki wins. And you could probably have, like, Moki destroy the sleigh and, like, quickly grab Tom and have, like, a bloody, like, you know, a bloody Moraitera Moshinderu reference, or however you say it. And, like, he's just like, what? Before getting dropped to his death. And then, like, Ed and Matt are just kind of there, like, oh, because, like, their friend is dead, but then again, he ruined Christmas. Though I imagine they care a lot about Tom, so they'd probably still be very, very upset, so, yeah. Moki wins, and he saved Christmas, so let's celebrate Moki. Yay. I mean, with a matchup that, like, relied entirely on contrast, there's not really much you really can say, so let's just move on to the finale.
Every day is Taco Tuesday!
Now, you're probably wondering why I made the episode themed on Christmas in November, which is not the month Christmas is at. Because, like, it's not like you can make the same excuse with Grinch vs. Jack, where it's a bit of an in-between. But, like, you know, with what matchup I have next, this is not, that one's not finale worthy, while this one definitely is, and you'll see why. Because my web series Death Battle season finale is Deadpool and Pinkie Pie versus Sonic and Ouija. Death Battle versus Cartoon Fight Club. You see it now? Well, I mean, where do I even begin? So, like, the connections are two duos from Versus shows who started off, you know, fighting, but through different events, realizing that they aren't so different and become allies or friends. Deadpool and Pinkie Pie, when realizing that they can both break the fourth wall and realizing, oh, maybe we aren't so different after all and we can stop this. Pretty much just refusing for the fight to end in a death, despite Wiz and Boomstick. And Sonic and Ouija, after going through a near-death experience when defeating the Ultimate Meme Destroyer. Okay, so this, believe it or not, I believe is an episode that can be longer than Goku vs. Superman 1, the longest episode in the entire show, in both analyses and the fight. Okay? Like, I strongly believe that if done right, this is a matchup that can be in the 40s in length. Yeah, the 40 minutes. And, like, you could have Deadpool and Pinkie Pie being like, really, we have to fight these irrelevant weirdos? And, like, I mean, you know, it's just, this fight's just dumb fun. You can probably do some things with the continuity gem. Or, like, now, obviously what has to happen is you have to have the army of Pinkie Pies fight the Ouija army. Of course, like, that writes itself. While everyone else is going around. And you know when Animation Rewind does those meme episodes with, like, they have, like, a quick montage of beating their opponent down? That has to be here. And then, obviously, Deadpool and Pinkie Pie have to get their own in there. I don't know what theming it would have, but it has to happen. Now, obviously, at some point, Sonic and Ouija will have to turn into Saniji, and although this one is optional, but it can happen. You could make them turn into Hyper Saniji God. Although, I mean, that wouldn't really feel necessary when this matchup is kind of a complete wash on Sonic and Ouija's end. But, you know, I mean, it's still a fun matchup, regardless, because, like, it's the good Death Battle versus Cartoon Fight Club matchup, alright? A comparison that's been around ever since Cartoon Fight Club has existed. For obvious reasons, when the first 10 episodes had the Death Battle template, but the Battle Royale for some reason, but I'm getting sidetracked. This could literally be the definition of peak fiction. I mean, like, obviously this has to capture the Animation Rewind style of fight, so pretty much just an acid trip. You could probably, like at the end, Wiz is just, like, completely confused and his head's just kind of jelly. Meanwhile, Boomstick, because, you know, he's not the brightest, was able to comprehend that and was like, oh man, that was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh. And obviously he has to take over the entire post-analysis to explain why Sonic and Ouija would win. I'm kind of dragging this on a little bit longer than so I'll just kind of end it now. And that was my fan-made internet death battle season, but better. Do I believe any of these matchups besides Ruby vs Maka are going to happen? Hell no, definitely not. But it's just it. Speaking of matchups, for the sake of speaking of matchups, just for dumb fun, you know. Like, not every matchup that you like has to have likelihood. You know, it's just something fun for the sake of something fun. So that's all I really have to say. So, bye.